Okay, everyone, this is our review for Iran, a country I think we spent an awful lot of time talking about this year due to the most recent Iranian nuclear deal, which I will get to. So, a little overview here. Oh, first of all, there's a picture of Hassan Rouhani and John Kerry, Secretary of State, making the nuclear deal. There was a Time magazine cover story about what Iran is going to look like in 2025. There's a little newspaper headline: when the hostages from Iran were released after 444 days on the day that Ronald Reagan was inaugurated and Ms. Kanon was born. That's Hassan Rouhani, and this is the Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei, and there's of course a map of Iran. All right, so let's get to a little overview here. Most people in Iran are Persian. Often, too many times, people think that they are Arab. They are not. The Shiite-Sunni split. Iran is in the Shiite part of the division, and most of those people dominate the population. Iran is one country that was never colonized out of the group that we have been studying, largely influenced by Sharia law. So Iran is a theocracy. The definition of a theocracy is a political system that is based on religious authority. Make sure you use the word authority if you have to define that. Individual rights are secondary to the needs of the country in Iran. Unfortunately, many critics in Iran do end up in jail. Iran is an illiberal democracy and a very religiously motivated regime. There are very few civil liberties or civil rights, although hopefully that is improving. And because of those sanctions, smuggling became commonplace throughout Iran. How have Iranian political leaders increased democratization recently? They have tried to liberalize the press and provide regular elections and allow some protests and relax dress codes, but unfortunately for the people, none of that has really made enough of a significant change. How have they resisted democratization? All candidates for office are vetted to make sure that they meet the criteria of the Guardian Council, which we will get to. Sharia law, as I just mentioned. The internet is often blocked in Iran, and protesters are arrested. Okay, so the structure of the government. Iran is a unitary system of government. They have some elements of a separation of powers. There are there's like a dual executive. So the president is popularly elected. He is the head of the government. He does have a cabinet that that is appointed, but he is appointing and then is approved by the legislature. The president is elected in a 2-round vote. So they do have multiple candidates running for president. But then, if nobody receives a majority, they narrow it down to the final 2, and they'll have a second round of voting. All those candidates, again, must be approved by the Guardian Council. Current president is Hassan Rouhani. He's seen as more of a moderate. But now there's another position, the Supreme Leader. I believe Iran is the only country where the head of the military is not the president. The Supreme Leader, Ali Khamenei, he is the one who can declare war and is considered commander-in-chief. He can also nullify all legislation. He is not elected by the people directly. They have only had 2 supreme leaders since the Constitution changed in 1979, and he is the second one. And he is selected by this assembly of experts that only meets once a year, and that's pretty much their only responsibility. That should say year. Sorry about that. And they select this supreme leader. The Guardian Council has 12 people on it. 6 of them are appointed by the supreme leader, and 6 are recommended by the Judiciary. And this is the group that determines what candidates are able to run for office. And by office, I mean their parliament. It's called the Majlis. The Iranian parliament is one house, unicameral. There are 290 people in the Majlis, and it's the same thing as the president. If a candidate does not receive a majority, there would be a second round of elections taking place. The most recent parliamentary elections, if you remember, we talked in class, they did elect more moderate candidates, which helped me to win my side of the bet. Unfortunately, the real moderate people were not allowed to run, which is why Tom won his side of the bet. All right, the Judiciary, they have a very strict civil law system. All judges are from the clergy, all clerics, and Sharia law which I think I have spelled differently in every single slide, has dominates the decisions. The Constitution, as I said, calls for Sharia law, but a lot of times people that are dissenters or people that are going to be arrested are going to have very, very difficult time being found not guilty, and so many people are imprisoned as a result of this. Okay, the military, they have an army and a navy and an air force, but what I would focus on is they have two different groups. One is called the Revolutionary, you get the pen going, Revolutionary Guards, also called the Basij, and that group is going to be mostly responsible for making sure that Islamic law is protected and that there are no internal coups, any revolutions that take place. Also could be preventing foreign attacks. But now their traditional military is really going to take care of the border. Traditional military is going to keep the country safe. All right, now we go to a few other things here. I mentioned to you the clerical elites are very important to both the government and the economy. So there really isn't a lot of out-and-out lobbying. It's those clerics that control most of the work. If you know a top cleric, you're probably going to get a good job. They do have very highly educated people in these technical fields. I think it's important to know that there is a big division in Iran. I think this is where the bet took place. Some people really want to maintain religious authority, while others really want to focus on expanding the economy. And that's why the nuclear deal was made. The sanctions were crippling the Iranian people. So now, with the release of the sanctions and their somewhat guarantee that they will not build a nuclear bomb, Iran is hopeful that it can expand wealth to more people in the country. All right, the cleavages, they're going to have the Shia-Sunni split, although the Shia dominate in that respect. But I really think the bigger cleavage is the people who are highly educated versus the people who want to maintain religious authority. I think that's a key one to know. As far as the media, government has a great control over the media, and the television stations are run largely by the government. People are trying to have more access to the internet, cell phone networks, but it's just not working to the extent that those people would want. Next, legitimacy, the right to rule. How does the Islamic Republic of Iran have legitimacy? You can say religion, you can say God, you can say Allah. The supreme leader offers legitimacy. The revolution offers legitimacy. They do have elections. Whether or not they are truly competitive is up for debate, but they do have elections. But how have these led to tensions and protests throughout Iran? I keep saying the same thing, but it's this big debate between religion versus economic development. There's also people who are elected versus people who are appointed. There's a big division there and tension there. And then even the supreme leader versus the president. They probably do not agree on the course of action that Iran should be taking. Okay, a few other random things here. The Guardian Council controls whoever can run for office. So they are going to vet the candidates. Vetting means doing a background check. That's going to be taking place in the next couple of months for the vice presidential candidates in American politics. But the number of candidates can be limited. And because of that, it reduces competition. So favoritism exists tremendously. I told you about the 2-round runoff election system. So if nobody gets a majority, the top two will face off. So they do allow for multiple candidates to run, but of course those multiple candidates can be restricted. The good thing about it, though, is that people have a second vote. So if their choice did not win the first time around, they have a chance to elect a second person. I think some Americans would enjoy that opportunity. Remember, the Supreme Leader is the Commander-in-Chief, which is rare. And I've said all this already before. That the Supreme Leader can actually remove people from the Judiciary. Yeah, that's what I wanted to emphasize here. There's a concept called, if if I can get the pen to work, concept called guardianship of the jurist. So this is really to make sure that all policies, economic and foreign, economic policies, yeah, you haven't seen my good handwriting in a while, economic policies and foreign policies all follow the guidelines of what the supreme leader would like to see take place. And I think the last slide is probably just yes, it's pretty much just the same thing over and over again. So there's Iran in a nutshell quickly, and good luck studying, and I will talk to you later.